Howdy, with this recording, I want to show you how to download student documents out of the Dropbox, and then one possible way to mark them up, particularly the Comp 1 drafts coming into the 0870 course. I kind of want to show you the rubric. This is not a prescriptive video. Hopefully you're not going to do it exactly the way I do. You're going to adapt it to fit how you want to make things work, how many students you have, how much time you have. So don't feel like, well, Eric Fish did it this way. I must do it that way too. You may watch this and go like, man, that guy's an idiot. Why would I ever want to do it like that? It's kind of up to you. And again, it depends on time and number of students. But to download the student documents from the Dropbox, going to go to assignments and go to that particular Dropbox. We'll just download these journals. Click on the Dropbox, and a couple of things you want to make sure. Sometimes the first time you do this, it'll default to 20 students per page. There's only 13 submissions, so that's not a problem here. But like if I did that figure of language exercise where there's 24 students putting work in, I would not see the last 4 if I only had it on 20. So make sure you check that. If students send multiple files, you got to work through all those when you go to print them or to comment on them. And also, if they send more than one copy, you got to go through and figure out which is the last one they sent. I always tell students I'm going to grade the last version you send, particularly on drafts and essays. But what you got to do, problem is you can't select them out of here and within D2L. You got to do that after you download them. But you're going to click this box and make sure you get a check mark on all the submissions, and then hit download. And it should prepare a zip file for you. And we're going to click download. And it's going to come up down here on the bottom left. I want to show it in the folder, and I'm going to right click. I want to cut and paste that into the folder I'm using right now. We're going to put this under demo material. Going to paste it in there after cutting it, and I like to go ahead and extract all. It's just a habit I've gotten into. You don't have to. You can click on that folder and print from it. But it's going to open the folder, and you can see all the files. From here, you can print them all if you want to. You can open them up in Word and make commentary. Do whatever you want to do. And I'm going to show you how I mark up papers in Word. Again, some people like to use the grade mark function in D2L. I don't particularly like the way it looks for students. Sometimes it's hard for them to see what their primary problems are. But it's up to you. Hopefully somebody else will do a video on how to use grade mark. I don't use it much. Some instructors, again, print it off and write the commentary on the printed draft. The problem with that is you're relying on the student to hold on to that, generally all the way until the Comp 1 instructor wants them to submit it. But I'm going to show you how I do it in Word. And what I use is the track changes function. I also use I'm going to go down here to more commands on the toolbar. I also use the autocorrect option. I guess that'd be right here between the line left of bullets. I already have it on this side. But I also have track changes on my toolbar. And what I can do with the autocorrect is I can set it to do things like if I wanted, sorry, let me change it. For comma splices, I use CS and that accent grave button on the top left of the keyboard. I never use that accent button for anything except when I'm grading papers. So I add that in there so it won't autocorrect normal words I'm trying to type. But I've got it set so whenever I do CS and the accent mark, it automatically types in comma splice. So one autocorrect, changes words you've misspelled, but you can also make it change text into something else, which is kind of nice. I think I have it defaulted as plain text, just so I don't have to think about it anymore. If you do formatted text, it won't quite match the student's font, and it might look a little weird after a while, particularly if you're making a lot of commentary. But what I do, I turn on the track changes. Whoops, it's not references, it's review. That's right there. I also got it up there on my toolbar. And whatever commentary I make will be in red. Sometimes I'll just, for oddball errors, I just go ahead and type it out. But what it does, it also puts a little bar here that shows me that I've made a commentary there. Then I'm gonna, oops, nothing wrong there. I'm gonna go through and start making commentary, the class and section number. And it's nice when you highlight something. Generally, I don't mark capitalization every time. I'll just highlight it and hope the student looks at it and says, wow, I wonder why that's highlighted. Because one thing that'll happen is that over here on the right side, it'll point out to the student that, hey, your instructor highlighted this while reviewing the draft. And hopefully they'll start picking up on that. But like here, we have a comma splice, so I'm going to hit CS and that accent button, and it changes it to comma splice, and that's kind of nice. And generally what I do is I tell students up front, I'm just going to look for certain things in the essay. I'm not copy editing this. I might be looking for comma splices, run together sentences, fragments, just bizarre sentences, in punctuation, capitalization, and then they're supposed to take care of the rest. I might highlight some things that I hope they'll go back and look at. Like here we got a run together sentence. So I'm going to hit RT and the accent thing, and it pops up run together sentence. So again, for common errors, that autocorrect is kind of nice. We should be in past tense here, so I'm just going to highlight that. That may need verb tense errors may not be one of the things I'm looking for with this particular draft. I might highlight it if I start seeing a pattern there, and I'm kind of seeing a pattern. So I'm just going to highlight that. And again, it's nice. It shows the student that the instructor has highlighted it. There's another comma splice. And you can see, kind of see it. You can start going pretty quickly as you do this. I'm looking for one more. There's another verb tense there. So if you kind of notice things like that, you might highlight things, and make them ask you what that is, or hopefully maybe they'll look at it and go like, oh, it needs to be in past tense. Kind of depends on the student and how interested they are in revising their essay. I'm not going to do the whole essay here. You kind of get the idea. But I got all kinds of things on that autocorrect. And once you it takes a while to develop it up front. And sometimes if you're my age, you might have a hard time remembering what the code is. But generally, once you get used to it, it moves pretty quickly. And then what I do is I'll have a little rubric that kind of says, hey, here's what I look for in the essay. I might have something here to point out some things I may not have marked or I may have just highlighted. And generally I have a list of common errors. And once you do a little bit of grading, you're going to kind of develop that list as you go. Sometimes I'll point out what the problem is. I'll come back to the essay and just copy and paste it out of there. Put it back on the rubric. And again, I like highlighting a lot. Oops, missed a dot there. Decided. I have my keyboard elevated, so it's a little hard for me to type. But there it kind of gives them a little rubric. They're a lot more interested in what I'm writing in the essay. I can copy that, paste it into the essay, go back to the bottom here, and got a nice little marked up document. If you copy and paste while you're still in track changes, it'll underline and put it in red. If you don't like that, you just get out of track changes, and it'll do the way you originally had it there. But there, once you work through the whole essay, again, not looking for everything. You're not the copy editor. Here's the stuff I would be looking for. It doesn't mean that those are the only errors, but you want them to read their essay too and go back and revise, not just rely on your commentary. But I'm going to save this as a PDF document. Save it on demo material. Generally, I use the student's last name. I do D1 in red. Once I get going with it, D1 in red can be totally typed with your left hand, which makes it a little quicker. But I'm going to save that. And then there's different ways to deliver it back to the students. You can go to this evaluate tool, and there's a little evaluation tool that comes up on the side, and you can upload the document into that and there's a little space for a commentary, like, here's your draft with my commentary or whatever. That's nice because then it sits in D2L until the student opens it up. And that way you have a copy on your computer, the student has a copy on D2L, and the Comp 1 instructor, if they're in your 0870 course, can go in and see what you've done or what you've written on that draft. So if the Comp 1 instructor gets just a horrible final essay and they're thinking like, wow, did that 0870 instructor do anything with the student? They can go in there and look and go like, oh yeah, the student just ignored everything the 0870 instructor said, and bring the hammer of Thor down upon them. You can also email them back to the students as an email attachment. That gets a little harder for the Comp 1 instructor to track. Or as I said, if you want to print this and kind of create your own little rubric and do that on a printed version of the essay, you can do that. And my guess would be the Comp 1 instructor would want a copy of that with the final version of the essay so they can see what the student changed or didn't change, or whether he did all that work for nothing, which should, again, bring the hammer of Thor down upon them. But hopefully that's a little helpful. Kind of want to show you, it's kind of a very simple rubric, but just letting students know what I'm looking for. Maybe if I see another pattern of errors, I'll note that and kind of hope they'll go through and fix those or understand what they're looking for or understand how to fix them and how to look for those. But I just try to make it as simple as I can. Again, it's a little slow showing somebody else what I do. Once I get into it, I can do this pretty quickly. But again, you don't have to do what other people do. There's different ways to be effective at providing feedback to students. But just be careful you're not turning into a copy editor and doing all the work. I also don't like to return these to students in Microsoft Word because they'll just take it, make the changes you suggest, and not read their essay again. And you want to try and get them in the habit of reading through their drafts and trying to find errors on their own. But I'm going to hush up there. I hope you find that helpful. Be sure to let me know if you have any questions or if you want any more videos, or if I missed something in this video. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.